Welcome to your second class of newcomers. So today we'll discuss about some compound. So last class I told you compound is any substance which is made up of union of two or more elements in definite proportion by mass. Today I will exaggerate this compound can be classified into three. One is acid, another is base, another is salt. Acid, base and salt. So let us discuss the acid. As you know, acid is a substance which can give H plus ion or H3O plus ion in water. As for example, HCl, HNO3, HNO2, H2SO4, H2SO3, H3PO4, H3PO3, H2CO3, H3BO3, etc. These are some examples of acid. You know, this is hydrochloric acid, HCl. This is nitric acid, HNO3. This is nitrous acid, HNO2. Sulfuric acid, H2SO4. Sulfurous acid, H2SO3. Phosphoric acid, H3PO4. Phosphorus acid, H3PO3. Carbonic acid, H2CO3. Boric acid, H3BO3. Here is the H plus ion can be released in water. So the number of H plus ion that released by an acid molecule is called its basicity. As for example, HCl can give 1 H plus ion, one molecule of HCl can give 1 H plus ion in water. Therefore, it is monobasic acid. Monobasic acid. And likewise, it can give 2 H plus ion in water. Therefore, it is called dibasic acid. And it can give 3 H plus ion in water. Therefore, it is called tribasic acid. But it is not simple for all the acid to determine the basicity, because in H3PO3 the basicity is 2, because 2 H plus ion can be released, and from that similarly in H3PO3 1 H plus ion can be released. Its basicity is 1, because 1 H plus ion can only be released from the H3PO3. So these are acids. When I am talking about the base, base is a substance which can give OH minus in water. As for example, sodium hydroxide, magnesium hydroxide, calcium hydroxide, ammonium hydroxide, etc. These are called base. And also the term for base sometimes the alkali is used, because the alkali is that base which can easily highly soluble in water. These are all alkalis. If I talk about aluminum hydroxide, this is a base but not alkali, because it cannot easily soluble in water. Therefore, it is called base, not alkali. But these are called alkalis, because that can easily soluble in water and give OH minus ion. They soluble in water, they are not soluble in water, but they can give some OH minus ion in water. And what about the salt? Salt is any substance, union of acid and base give the salt. And here, when we are talking about HCl and NaOH, after removal of water, the remaining is called salt. Salt is any substance which is the union of cation and anion, where cation is other than H plus ion and anion is other than OH minus ion. That is called salt. And salt can be also simple salt, acidic salt, basic salt, and compound salt even. Let's say, consider salt sodium bicarbonate. This is a salt, but it can also give H plus ion. Therefore, it is called acidic salt. Acidic salt. Similarly, bleaching powder, bleaching powder, and this is called acidic salt. And when we are talking about the basic salt, let's say Na2CO3. This is a salt, but in water there is excess H minus ion, because when water it gives sodium hydroxide and carbonic acid. And carbonic acid is a weak acid, it is a strong base, therefore it comprises total in a solution that is called basic salt, which behaves like a base in solution. So these are the example of acid, base and salt. Then I may tell some new terms and some new concept about the chemistry here. When we are considering a compound, then how to determine the total molecular mass of a compound? Let's say calcium carbonate. To determine the total weight of a molecular mass from their atomic mass concept, I can say total mass of one molecule of calcium carbonate can be known by the mass of calcium, which is 40, mass of carbon is 12, and oxygen mass is 16, there is 3 oxygen atoms, therefore total will be 100. This is the molecular mass of calcium carbonate can be known in terms of their atomic mass unit, AMU. This is called atomic mass unit or AMU. So, to know the molecular mass of a compound, the atomic mass should be known of the constituent elements. Let's say aluminum sulfate. Here, the molecular mass will be 2 atoms of aluminum, means 2 into 27, 1 atom of aluminum 27, and here is 3 times sulfate, sulfur is 32 atomic mass, oxygen is 16, so total mass here will be 54 plus 8, here will be 342. This is the molecular mass of this compound, aluminum sulfate. When we are talking about the molecular mass of glucose, let's say, this is glucose. So now, here is 6 carbon atoms, one having 12 mass, 6 carbon atoms, plus 12 into 1 plus 6 into 16. Here, total mass will sum up to 180 N. This is the molecular mass. You have to remember the atomic mass of the element, then only you can calculate total molecular mass of the substance. Knowing the molecular mass or atomic mass, we can know the composition of a compound. The composition of a compound can be known from the formula. And to determine the exact formula of a molecule, we have to know what is formula, what is empirical formula. At first, the empirical formula is to be known by the percentage of the element. So, what do you mean by empirical formula or the molecular formula? We will discuss. Then we have to calculate how to determine, or we have to know the empirical formula and a determination. So the molecular formula. Molecular formula. What do you mean by molecular formula? It is the formula which is obtained by. It is the formula which is obtained by the union of elements. Union of elements, and that union actually signifies the actual number of different kind of atoms present in one molecule of a substance. It is the union of elements which represents actual number of different kind of atoms that present in one molecule of a substance. As for example, let's say we are talking about the glucose. The molecular formula of the glucose is C6H12O6. It represents the collection of symbols. It depends the union of elements, which is also the collection of symbols, which represents actual number of different kind of atoms present in one molecule of a substance. Here, in one molecule of glucose, you see there are 6 atoms of carbon, 12 atoms of hydrogen, and 6 atoms of oxygen. This represents the molecular formula. If you talk about the empirical formula, then it is the collection of symbols. Also same way, it is the collection of symbols which represents simplest whole number ratio, simplest whole number ratio of different elements present in one molecule. So the empirical formula of glucose, I may write the empirical formula of glucose, I may write here CH2O. Here the simplest way to represent, here the common factor 6 will be cancelled out, and here we get CH2O. So from this and from molecular formula and empirical formula, you can very easily relate these two. And if you consider the empirical formula mass of this one, it will be 30, because 12, 2 and 16, it will be 30. And the molecular mass of this formula, it will be 180. So from that, we have already cancelled the 6 as the multiplication number. Here we get 30. So the empirical mass by molecular mass by empirical mass is the whole number which is to be cancelled out from the each elements to give the simplest ratio. So this is the number 6 is to be cancelled out from the number of atoms present in one molecule to give the simplest form of the formula. So here I can relate the relationship between these two is molecular formula mass divided by empirical formula mass is equal to n. N is the multiplication number to get the molecular formula from the empirical formula. So now let us discuss how to determine the empirical formula first. So to know the empirical formula, we have to know the percentage of different elements present in one molecule of substance. As for example, let us consider again that glucose molecule to be taken for simplicity, and it can be applied for all. Now, when we are talking about the C6H12O6 glucose molecule, the molecular mass is 180. Here the carbon contributes 72 mass. 12 into 6, 72. Now, the percentage of carbon in glucose can easily be calculated considering that 180 mass contains 72 mass of carbon. So one mass contains 72 by 180 and 100 will get 72 by 180 into 100. This will be 40. So percentage of carbon in glucose is 40%. Is the percentage of carbon. Likewise, we can calculate a percentage of oxygen and percentage of hydrogen. And here the percentage of hydrogen can be calculated as 12 is the mass carbon and it is total mass is 180. So 12 by 180 into 100 is the percentage of hydrogen. Percentage of hydrogen. So percentage of any element. So the percentage of any element. Percentage of element in a compound can be written by the simple formula as mass of the atom divided by molecular mass into 100. This may be the formula to determine the percentage of the element. So here 120 by 18 6.66. This is the percentage of hydrogen in the glucose. Likewise, the percentage of oxygen can be calculated, or you can know by subtracting these sum of these 2% from the 100. So oxygen will be percentage of oxygen is equal to 100 minus 40 plus 6.66. It will become 100 minus 46.66 is equal to 53.33, let's say. This is the percentage of oxygen in glucose. Now, knowing the percentage of the element in a particular compound, you can calculate easily the empirical formula of that compound. Now, let us apply this one to this glucose, whether it comes to be true or not. Let's see. So here the atoms present, percentage, atomic mass to be written, percentage is to be calculated or it is given by some data. Atoms, carbon, hydrogen and oxygen. Here the percentage of carbon is 40%, hydrogen is 6.66% and oxygen is 53.33%. And the atomic mass of carbon you know 12 and that of oxygen is 14. Then simplest ratio, here you know relative number of atoms. Relative number of atoms, to know the simplest ratio, is equal to percentage by atomic mass. Here the percentage is 40 by atomic mass 12, percentage 66 by 1, percentage is 53.33, here is 60. This is the relative number of atoms, means if the percentage is correct, then how many atoms present in 40 mass? One atom 12 mass, 40% will be how many atoms there, the relative number of atoms. From the relative number of atoms, again we have to calculate the simple ratio. What should be the simple ratio? And from the simple ratio you can also determine if it is not whole number, then what should be the whole number ratio. This is the table to be remembered for calculation of, let's say it's a empirical formula. The table must be always in this manner to determine the empirical formula. Here, this comes to be 3.33, let's say. It is 6.66, this is again 3.33. So to know the simple ratio, we have to take the smaller number of relative number of atoms and is to be divided with the all. So 3.33 by 3.33, 6.66 by 3.33, again 3.33 by 3.33. The smaller atom is divided because you know 6, 12, let's say here is 3. Then to get this simple ratio, we have to divide 3 in all numbers. And here will be C2 H6O. If there is 6, then the smaller number is 6 is to be divided. Here will be CH2O. So this is the manner to know the simplest ratio. So the small number is to be divided. Here the small number is 3.33 is to be divided in all to get the whole number ratio. Here of course the whole number ratio is 1 to 1. Means the number of carbon atoms relatively is 1 and that of hydrogen atom is 2 and that of oxygen atom is 1. So it is the empirical formula of glucose molecule CH2O. So then to determine the empirical formula, you may determine the percentage of the element or the percentage of element is given automatically. Then the table must be followed. The table is in this manner. We get the total number of atoms and the simplest whole number ratio of the elements, from which the empirical formula of the element compound can be determined as CH2O. Then this is the empirical formula to determine a number of questions are there in your textbook. You may follow and we will discuss which is difficult for you in next class. Now I will tell you something about the mass and about the some compounds. You know, some compounds remain in simple form and some compounds remain in hydrated form. Hydrated form means, let's say copper sulfate in simple anhydride form is CuSO4. But when we are talking about the copper sulfate, it must associate with the 5 molecules of water. This is called hydrated salt. And the hydrated salt means it is associated with some water molecules. And this is called blue vitra. And it is written as copper sulfate pentahydrate. Copper sulfate pentahydrate. Similarly, let's say zinc sulfate, that 10 molecule of water, it is called white vitra. It is read as zinc sulfate decahydrate. Zinc sulfate decahydrate. With some salts remain in this form and some salts remain in simple form, let's say NaCl, it will remain as such, but magnesium chloride remain as 2 molecule of water. Calcium sulfate if remain as 2 molecule of water, then it is called gypsum salt. Gypsum salt. It is called calcium sulfate bihydrate. So a number of salts of this type can be seen in your textbook. Now, when the formula is ready, when the formula part is ready, then we have to switch over to chemical equation part. So I will switch over to chemical equation part in next class.